Now to a Target 12 investigators exclusive e-fires. With electric and hybrid vehicles growing in popularity, we examine what fire departments are doing to prepare and train on how to deal with an EV fire.
Large lithium-ion batteries present a particular challenge for firefighters. And
departments we talked to statewide say they're now figuring out the best tools and techniques to manage these potentially dangerous situations.
Target 12 investigator Tim White joins us now live in studio with the details. Tim?
Mike and Shannon, electric vehicle fires are very rare. In fact, we found only one Rhode Island fire department that has responded to an EV fire, but firefighters statewide are right now getting up to speed in how to deal with these challenging fires. Car fires are among the most dangerous for firefighters to respond to, and they happen fairly often with traditional gas-powered engines. Electric vehicles present an even greater challenge if the battery overheats or ignites.
They're very safe, but when they have an issue, they definitely have a bad issue.
These are images from the Sacramento Fire Department after a Tesla spontaneously caught fire. To access the power source, firefighters had to jack up the vehicle to continuously spray the lithium-ion battery with water, and it takes a lot.
The thousands of gallons it would require to put one of those out once the thermal runaway starts.
And even then, Captain Chris Lannon with Special Hazards at the Providence Fire Department says firefighters can't assume the fire's out.
Even after some of these vehicles are extinguished and they're on a tow truck, on top of the flatbed, they will reignite either en route to the auto body shop or sometimes long after somebody left them at the auto body shop.
This training video from the National Transportation Safety Board shows a Tesla reigniting on a flatbed in California, and 5 days after this crash, which resulted in a battery fire, the car reignited at the tow yard and firefighters had to come back. So what causes a battery in an EV or a hybrid to catch fire? Well, a primary reason is a car crash or something that causes trauma to the battery, which is normally located underneath the vehicle. Also, excessive heat or improper charging. The battery can go into what's called thermal runaway. That's when it short circuits and overheats uncontrollably.
Once the battery is in a full thermal runaway, you're going to hear hissing, popping. It's going to be like a jet engine. It's not going to be like a regular car fire.
In Rhode Island, electric vehicle and hybrid sales are growing thanks in part to state and federal incentives. The Rhode Island DMV says since 2021 there have been more than 16,000 EV and hybrid registrations. The highest number happened in January with 863 new registrations.
These lithium batteries are not easy. It takes a lot of water.
Tim McLaughlin is the Rhode Island Fire Marshal.
A lot of times you have to let them burn. You just have to let them burn out completely. But hopefully you can get it away from anything that's combustible.
Back to this California video, you'll see firefighters smartly had the car placed at a distance from other vehicles at the tow yard. But in congested Providence, that is not always an option. It's especially a problem in parking garages and other commercial spaces. Firefighter Dan Rinaldi says there is a risk of a chain reaction.
What do you have next to an electric vehicle most of the time? Another electric vehicle and another electric vehicle, because they're all charging next to each other.
Rinaldi says the department is looking into EV fire blankets like this one to pull over a car to contain a battery and thermal runaway, but the blankets will not put out the fire because lithium-ion batteries don't need outside oxygen to fuel the flames. Captain Lannon says conversations among stakeholders.
We need to have everybody at the same table, whether it's the tow companies, state police, DEM, everybody that's going to be a player in this event
are just beginning.
When this happens, and it's going to happen, it's a matter of when. So when it does, what's our plan going to be?
Several fire professionals I talked to say they would have no problem buying an EV or hybrid for themselves, but Mike and Shannon, what does worry them are these smaller lithium-ion batteries that power e-bikes and electric scooters. Rhode Island has already seen several fires there, and we have important information to pass along about those devices. That's coming up new at 6.
That's something you always think about when you're buying these cars.
Absolutely.
All right, Tim, thank you very much.
Thank you.
New details now in a Target 12 investigators exclusive e-fires. There's only been one electrical vehicle battery fire in Rhode Island, but firefighters are increasingly having to deal with fires from small mobility devices like e-bikes and scooters. And the risk of those batteries overheating or exploding increases when they're handled improperly. Target 12 investigator Tim White is here now with the exclusive details.
Lithium-ion battery fires like this e-bike blaze in New York can be destructive, and lawmakers are now considering legislation to regulate everything from how these batteries are designed and manufactured to where they can be charged. The fire on Stephen Hopkins Court in Providence last November destroyed multiple apartments. A Providence fire investigation report obtained by Target 12 shows the damage on the inside. Among this charred mess, the remains of 3 e-bikes. The resident told investigators the middle bike had smoke coming from it, and within seconds, the e-bike was on fire. The cause, the bike's lithium-ion battery failed, causing thermal runaway.
There's been many cases already in this country where people have died in fires like this.
Providence Fire Captain Chris Lannon and firefighter Dan Rinaldi say they are seeing more of these fires as e-bike, scooters, and other electric mobility devices increase in popularity and availability. No one was injured at the Providence apartment fire, but that has not been the case in New York City. Last year, FDNY responded to more than 200 fires sparked by electric mobility devices, with 6 fatalities.
A lot of people bring them in their house. Don't put them in your house.
Rhode Island Fire Marshal Tim McLaughlin.
I guess they're expensive, so people don't want to leave them out, but it can be a lot more expensive when you're watching your house burn down, right, than an e-bike.
You want to make sure that you're using the charger that came with the unit.
Fire experts say aftermarket chargers or batteries run a higher risk of causing problems. Some other important safety tips: make sure you get technology that is UL listed from a certified manufacturer. Do not leave devices unattended while charging, nor charge them overnight. If the e-bike is inside, don't put it in front of your means of egress, like a door or window blocking your exit.
If you hear any hissing or popping or anything like that, you want to disconnect everything.
Trauma to a battery can cause them to fail and overheat. Rinaldi points out the rental scooters strewn throughout Providence can get handled roughly.
Well, what are people doing with the scooters when they're out there? They're jumping off of curbs, they're, you name it, they're dropping them. They're doing every bad thing you could possibly do to a battery.
Because the rental e-bikes offer incentives for people to charge at home, Lannon tells me he is particularly concerned about people powering up multiple e-mobility devices in their apartment. With the Target 12 investigators, Tim White, 12 News.